Every time I warn of the militarization of our society, the mainstream media claims I'm anti-military. Anybody that watches or listens to our show knows that's a lie. It's been our military that's been warning the people for decades about Washington's attempts to turn our armed services into an arm of federal control and domination over the states. And now, within weeks of Trump getting into office, we finally get the leaked documents from the Obama administration and what they've been doing the last few years. A giant plan to set up a total military takeover here in America. Our military is not the threat. It's the people that would use it to bring in tyranny and enforce their unconstitutional aims. I'm about to break it down in this lengthy special report. So I got up this morning at about 4 in the morning and I went to Infowars.com and I was searching through different articles and I saw a Zero Hedge story. And then I linked through on the Zero Hedge article and I was on The Intercept, I was at Army.mil, and I was reading public documents and even promo videos for the Army and the Pentagon. It was a mix of those different agencies saying, we're going to take over America and run every town and every city in the next decade or so because the country's so destabilized. And we're going to master the human domain and control every facet of human activity.
Our current and past strategies can no longer hold. We are facing environments that the masters of war never foresaw. We are facing a threat that requires us to redefine doctrine and the force in radically new and different ways. The future Army will confront a highly sophisticated urban-centric threat that will require that urban operations become the core requirement for the future land force. The threat is clear. Our direction remains to be defined. The future is urban.
I knew that in years past when we exposed similar documents to this, they weren't as naked or brazen, but they were similar. They'd go like 80% where these went that were just released, that they would always spin it and say, Alex hates the military, or Alex says the military is coming to take your town over next month and, going to rape your daughter and take your guns. Never said any of that. It was normally the military that was actually blowing the whistle and exposing all of this. So I've learned that when they come out with this, the media is promoting it as a good thing, but then if we critique it and say, hey, we're not supposed to have the military on the streets of America unless there's an emergency, then they spin it and say, that we're saying there's an imminent invasion.
We can now, and we will remain in the future, retain the capability to rapidly deploy, and we will destroy any enemy, anywhere, anytime. Additionally, the battlefield will be highly complex, almost certainly in dense urban areas and against an elusive, ambiguous enemy that combines terrorism and guerrilla warfare alongside conventional capabilities mixed with large civilian populations.
You just have to understand, the globalists control the military. The military is not bad on average. They're the most active, involved people in many cases. But the globalists are engineering the societal fall while they're, again, preparing the takeover that comes from the collapse they're orchestrating. But because Trump and other nationalists around the world don't want an end to prosperity and want to end this collapse, they're so upset right now because nationalism and individualism and freedom and renaissance and free market is rising. And Steve Bannon's talked about this, others have talked about this, even Public Affairs, the Foreign Affairs publication of the Washington Post has come out and said, okay, Trump's for real, he's not crazy. He wants America to dominate globalism, and America built globalism, and Russia better watch out because America will dominate you if Trump does this, so Russia, please turn against Trump. Which is true. I mean, the United States is going to become super dominant. Now, we were meant to kind of collapse into this world corporate government, and then every country was to fall. The U.S. is going to rise, and every other country with us, as long as they join in free market and Americana, which isn't even Americana, it's just human free will and renaissance. So I wanted to just basically say here, not because it's tooting our horn, but because people need to understand, when we covered Jade Helm, it said a trained mission, a preparation operation to invade Texas and different places like Utah and even conservative counties of California. And it was clearly on its face a provocation to elicit us to say, oh God, look, they're trying to invade Texas and Utah. Then they say, oh no, it was just a drill. Now, when I say in the headline of this video, U.S. military warns public of martial law plan, it's been the military that's been warning that they've been put in this position. So, again, I'm not saying they're the bad guys. They're being given the policy that's unconstitutional and wrong. But here's Zero Hedge. Coming soon to a city near you, the U.S. military plan to take over America. You can go read the big 12-page report with all the links to the government. This is almost all these links are to Army.mil and the Pentagon and the State Department. This is all right there. So everything we told you about Jade Helm 3 years ago, now documented and happening. We said it was preparation to condition you for this takeover, for the collapse they're engineering, that they then want the military to come in and clean up, knowing that our military is who we love and that who are our friends and family, so we'll just accept it. But after the military leaves, the bureaucratic controllers come in. Here's one from The Intercept. Again, I understand years after we break all this, and I'm not competitive with these people. I just want to defeat the globalists, that now the Greenwald is reporting on public documents that now this is going to be taken as real. Because Greenwald is a prestigious reporter, you know, and he doesn't have a Texas accent, so everybody knows Texans can't wipe our own asses. So there's that report right there for you. And they talk about a dystopia, the collapse of the cities, martial law, takeover of society. Master the human domain, the domestic plan behind Jade Helm. This is May of 2 years ago, 2015, how it was all just a big drill to condition the military and the public to integrate with all the smart technology for a total shutdown and takeover of civilization if it's needed. There's that report. Now, you read the new reports. These earlier reports didn't admit all of it, but they admitted much of it. Now they just admit the whole thing. And that's because this was all waiting there in the last 2 years with Obama getting ready for Hillary to come in and this whole engineered collapse. And Chelsea was going to run this big world government health body that forced inoculations on people. That came out in Heat Street today. God almighty. I did a report on it last week. I didn't know it was that bad. So, again, their whole plan is in trouble. It's not the government's our enemy. It's that it's us, and it needs us to speak out about what these globalists are doing through it. See, they've sold conservatives to go, well, the government's good because I'm pro-government. I'm conservative. No, not when it's hijacked by globalists. Not when it's hijacked by Michael Moore. A big report I did 3.5 years ago, Don Salazar, Alex Jones, government promises to stop lying because of Drudge Report, and they come out and they say in an hour-long press conference with the then Deputy Secretary of the Army, or no, Secretary of Defense, they say, listen, we know we've been lying to you, and you don't believe us anymore. So we're going to send the CIA and military into every town and city, and we're going to take over to make sure we tell the truth now.
And we cannot hide our bad news stories. Bad news gets out one way or the other, and we must come to terms with telling the bad stories as well as the good. When bad things happen, the American people should hear it from us, not as a scoop on the Drudge Report.
Now, that was Obama pushing all that. So when they tell you we're going to not take over, it's the opposite, but they said it. Go watch the hour-long press conference and see my analysis from 3.5 years ago. I said it's a total takeover, every city, every county, with covert operations, because they know the American people have woken up, and the big foreign banks don't want that to happen. Now, instead of that happening, the U.S. military and the Pentagon and the patriots that are in it, just like Hitler had Operation Valkyrie for martial law in case people resisted him, and a continuity government system, they tried to use that to take Hitler out. Well, because they tried to put in a martial law COG system to totally take over the United States, the intelligence agencies were all given the intel that it was a martial law plan. They had the proof they needed that it was sedition, but they could also use these communication grids and systems into all the local media to actually go in and turn the public, who was already partially awake, completely against the New World Order globalist plan. And there's been an intelligence agency counter coup through a popular vote and the American people and the Electoral College to defeat the globalists because they were so arrogant. It's not the intelligence agencies are perfect, but a weirdo pedophile pervert like Bill Clinton and Hillary and, walking around in Chinese communist outfits. She's not just their agent, but wears their uniforms, saying that they were going to dominate America and take the guns and go after veterans. And it was just like, we're really going to be dominated by these people? No. There's no reason to make America poor and dominate us and bring us down. America will snatch the entire globalist system away from them that we built and paid for, not to enslave the planet, but as it was originally sold 60 years ago, to empower the world. Now, we'll see if that actually is carried out, but that's the narrative, and it's a lot better narrative than the transhumanist, globalist, eugenics thing where everybody's got to be poor and we're going to make people dumb and stupid so they're more servile and create a giant dumbed-down population. So that's where the world stands right now. A new article, White House fears sabotage by intelligence industrial complex. All this stuff you see isn't feared sabotage, it's current sabotage. Now, here's a file from 2 years ago on Jade Helm. And yeah, we're vindicated. Everything we told you about Jade Helm has now been admitted, and Obama had it all down to the plan. What's the exact quote? You can go Greenwald. Greenwald, that's the big mainline reporter there. Coming soon to a city near you, the U.S. military plan to take over America. You should add for the globalists. And the left saw, we need to use the army to kill Trump or arrest him. We need to use the intelligence agencies to spy on him. Why? The president can't ever talk to the Russians. Presidents don't do anything but do what the Democrats and the neocons say. Lindsey Graham's our president. He's got, well, nobody's a bigger candy ass than him and John McCain. So, the question is, are they better than us? So here's some of these news articles. There's the original Jade Helm document posted at army.mil, linked at Infowars.com, where they admit the plan to train for invading Texas and taking our guns. But it was multifaceted. It wasn't going to happen in 2015. It was just to get the public all riled up so they could say, there's no military takeover imminent, so we would just accept the incremental. As they try to implode the economy and the social justice warriors, the Black Lives Matter. Covert warfare coming to Texas sparked some fears of federal takeover. Then they went on in all the major papers to say we said it was an imminent takeover when we never said that. Jade Helm, troops to operate undetected amongst civilian population. Again, that's just all part of training them to be basically CIA assassins. Video, Marines practice subduing citizens inside internment camp. And they say, you're a veteran, you're a gun owner, you're a constitutionalist, we're going to arrest you. So you see the training right there. But instead of just saying, hey, they shouldn't be doing that training, they say, oh, it's imminent takeover to discredit us. And one big thing Trump did about 2 weeks ago, you can pull this up, is he said all this extremist program thing at tens of billions a year, we're not going to do that for patriots and gun owners and veterans and people anymore. We're going to do it for Islamicists who are almost all the terror attacks. So see, Trump's even pulling federal funding off of this right now for this whole program. Document, Jade Helm, commander, plans to operationalize the Kona base right here in the United States, continental United States. See? They tell you, we're going operational America. It's our orders under Obama. Then you say, hey, you're going operational in Kona. CONUS against the American people. And he says, what the hell are you talking about? We didn't invade Texas, Alex. You told us we were. And I said, I never said that. Well, we're going to say that in your name, Alex. And I said, well, that's good. You might have ABC, NBC, and everybody else say I said that, but my listeners know the truth. So you go ahead and try it. Establishment Press discredits itself with Jade Helm deceit. Article on that. There's articles, why is Texas State Guard monitoring U.S. military exercise? That's what you do under the Constitution, and people got so freaked out, they stampeded the media, and people believed my name so much that when they put my name on it and said they're coming to take over Texas in 3 months for martial law, people actually got ready for war, even though I was on the air saying it isn't true. Most of them only listen to me every once in a while. They just knew Alex Jones said they were coming. So the governor and everybody else just got ready for war. Even though I was calling the governor saying, sir, it's made up. And I met with his representative. So see, that's why you guys got to watch out, because people know I mean the truth. I'm not lying to people. So even when they lie in my name, folks act at it. And that's a threat, because I don't want to cause a civil war in this country. I want to stop it. Louis Garment gets why some Texans are worried about military takeover, National Journal. And he goes into Obama was training for martial law, buying billions of bullets, had the military training for it. A lot of the military actually got what it was. It was kind of a dry run to see if they could get away with it. And now Obama has built a bunker 2 miles from Trump and says he's preparing a military takeover. It's in the news. And Michael Moore says, kill Trump, overthrow him today, Infowars.com. See? But it's okay, because Trump and all the Make America Great people and folks that want lower taxes and want guns and private property and God, well, everybody knows that came from the Russians. That never came from America. George Washington was a Russian. You never knew that? Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson were all Russians. Andrew Jackson couldn't wipe his own ass. Vladimir Putin used to get in a time machine and go back and help him do it. Jade Helm, the human domain, the domestic plan behind Jade Helm. And again, they get into all this in their own PowerPoints, that it is a plan to take over America. Not that our military's bad. They're the ones leaking the info. They don't want to be part of this. But the media plays straw men and again and says, if I say our government worked with Saudi Arabia in 9/11, they go, oh, Alex, you say our government blew up the World Trade Centers and the fire department did it. No, I never said that. You said that. And that's why you're so discredited. Chuck Norris came out and said, Jade Helm 15, Crime Stoppers at risk. And he exposed the fact that serious stuff was going on. And they're so scared of Chuck Norris because of his name and who he is with the military. They did drills on his ranch without asking him. And this came from his son, hoping he would do something. Oh, they fear Chuck Norris even more than me and General Boykin. There's key names they really fear with the military. Abbott defends Jade Helm 15 decision, saying, yeah, the manual says martial law training, we're going to monitor it. See? They tried to say it was all made up Alex Jones. They even made up what I said, but still it blew up in their face because the public hated them so much. Even their outlandish claim that I said they were going to invade and take over blew up in their face. Army manual outlines plan to kill rioters, demonstrators in America. Well, they may have to if the cities are burning, but again, the globalists and Soros are pushing it, so they have an excuse to set the precedent. Now, this is what you really want to read. FM 3-39.40, Internment Resettlement Operations, 2010. This got leaked. A year after it got leaked to us by patriots, Obama admitted it was real and it was released. Talks about processing your Social Security numbers, how to put you in a forced labor camp. Remember, the Weathermen openly said that back in the 70s in federal court. How to process you and your family. And then, of course, there's Freedom from War, the United States Program for General and Complete Disarmament in a Peaceful World, how the United Nations takes our guns, who runs our refugee program, who runs the Unitaire program, who runs the Safe City and Strong Cities initiatives, the UN. And it goes on to say, State Department Publication 7277, go read it, see scans of the manual online. This is the reason Kennedy probably got killed. He meant well, but that was the end of it with some people in this country. And I'm not defending what happened to Kennedy, but now I know more than I used to. They were going to start the disarmament of our military in the Soviet Union under the UN. Folks saw it was a UN globalist takeover. The UN was created by the Rockefellers, and Texas is the reason the president's dead. To quote a certain rock band with Glenn Danzig, Texas said no. And America said no. Kennedy has been strung along the whole time and set up. A very sad situation, but you should go read State Department Memorandum 7277 in Public Law. So that's the plan right there. And you can read the short title purpose, Public Law 87-297, for yourself and see what was passed into law to disarm the American people, bring in the United Nations, and disarm our military and police as well. That's U.S. law. That's at thomas.loc.gov right now for you and your family. So they could argue they already put it into law to disarm you, the military, and the police. And when Kennedy signed that, he committed treason. Everybody else knows what happened to him at that point. Now, other corrupt globalist forces came in. They corrupted things. They made deals with China to sell us out. Kennedy did some good stuff to try to get us out of the Federal Reserve. It was all a big battle. But once POTUS was dead, and once they were able to set up their system, now they're openly trying to complete their takeover of America via deindustrialization. Here's the civilian inmate labor camp program. This is declassified over a decade ago. Army.mil to put you into forced labor camps if they say you've committed a crime at federal work camps. All this is available, Army.mil. Now, they think you're stupid, and they'll probably have a news article about this, claiming that I say flying monkeys come out of, Bill Clinton's ass or something. That's not what I said. I sat here and I covered the truth with you, just like I always do. I'm going to put out an article tomorrow and a special report dealing with communist China and the fact that they are openly involved in the Democratic Party and the Republican leadership. And George Soros, who's a foreign globalist, is funding all the top Republicans from Mitch McConnell to, you name it, all Lindsey Graham, John McCain, all of them, Paul Ryan. Well, they run their mouths and claim Trump's some kind of foreign globalist when they're the ones screwing the country over. But you can pull up PC World, Associated Press, Reuters, where again, if you're exposing evil and saying it's bad, they'll say it doesn't exist. But if you're going, yeah, the Chinese are going to help censor Trump in America and help take over, of course they are. It's no big deal to have mass murdering communist Chinese running things. Red washing, the silver screen, Washington Times, how they're buying up the big 6 production firms and putting all this communist Chinese propaganda in, and even have Michael Bay movies coming out with $300 million budgets about how Donald Trump's a traitor that's overthrown by U.S. Special Forces. So then people go watch that movie and think it's okay in the military with those Trump, because after all, it was the Transformers director said so. What happens when a country cracks down on fake news? Ask China. And this whole article, this whole thing gets into how wonderful it is out of PC world that China's teaching us how to censor America. Thank God they killed 80+ million of their own people under Mao alone, another 15 million after that. And thank God they killed Buddhists caught secretly practicing religion. And thank God nobody can own guns. And thank God they're slaves. And thank God the communist Chinese are here to shut Americans up. Glad somebody is. I love Chucky Schumer. I love all those people. China's scary lesson to the world. Censoring the internet works. Washington Post. We're looking to them to shut up the alt-right in America. They'll teach those veterans to roll over and die not getting any health care. And they'll teach everybody to pay that Obamacare penalty that Trump vetoed last week. And it's now dead, but they won't even tell the public the news. Congress wouldn't pass a law, so Trump just blew the hell out of it. Doesn't matter. You'll never hear about that. You'll hear he's a Russian. That Russian spy just killed the $5,000 a year fine for not buying Obamacare. Damn them Russians. Want to pay Obamacare. U.S. tech firms should enable Chinese censorship. Why Google quit China? What's all happening there? Then we've got Merkel. 2 out of 3 Germans want Merkel gone, but the way she rigged the parliament, they just can't get rid of her. And anti-Islam Wilders is in the lead in the Netherlands to be their next president. But that doesn't matter because they're about to arrest him and have indicted him, saying it's illegal to criticize Islam, and they're saying he's a Russian agent. And so's Le Pen, her daddy, big right-wing paratrooper, nationalist for 50 years. She's been a nationalist for decades, trying to get sovereignty back out of the EU. They just say she's a Russian, and the State Department, ignoring Trump and Tillerson, just says they're going to work right now against it and make sure she doesn't get elected because she's a Russian spy. That's right. You don't want the EU running your life. You're a Russian spy. You know what 5 million jihadis brought into Europe to run your life? You're a Russian spy. Germany, Pakistan men sexually assault 6-year-old girl, gets light sentence. Look at that story out of the Express. But that's okay. It's just their culture to wear burkinis and crap in your pool. It's all right. You need to accept it, even though they won't accept you in any of their countries. Korean embassy warns citizens not to visit Paris. Violent migrant suburbs after attack on a bus. Yeah, Paris is on fire for 5 days in 3 other cities. It's Muslims murdering, raping, and killing, police getting killed. And all you hear on the news is there's some anti-police riots because it's all part of the takeover of the world, the scumbag socialist globalist allied with Islam. Nationalism is rising worldwide. And we're in a very, very exciting time right now. And so this is all about our individual countries coming together for sovereignty and independent freedom. Nations aren't perfect, but they were at least founded by cultures and peoples. That's a hell of a lot better than globalism. So think for yourself. I'm Alex Jones, and this is, and you are, the InfoWar. Today we call it bone broth, and for thousands of years our ancestors enjoyed its benefits before it became lost to our modern diets of processed junk. We are now introducing Caveman by InfoWarsLife.com, the ultimate in true paleo nutrition with bone broth, turmeric root, chaga mushroom, and 7 total primal superfoods in a single great tasting formula. Caveman. It's those people living in the wilds having to actually build civilization that are our superior ancestors, and we need to do everything we can to recapture that. Everyone knew that you used all the parts of the animal. You used the meat for sustenance, the fat for cooking, but you used the bones for strength. From the outside structure full of minerals and key cofactors to the marrow that produces the blood for the body, this is the engine of the life essence. I'm a long way from the caveman my ancestors were, but I'm sure as hell trying to get back to that essence that made us what we were, and this is a big part of it. I know you're going to want to check out Caveman Ultimate Paleo Formula for yourself at InfoWarsLife.com today.